Welcome to the graveyard shift at the edge of the universe. It's 3:14 a.m., and while the rest of the world is dreaming about whatever normal people dream about, mortgages maybe, or not having a taste of ozone in the back of their throats, I'm staring at a lead glass window that costs more than your house. My name is on a badge that gives me access to things the government officially says don't exist, and my blood is currently about 60% dark roast coffee and 40% pure, unadulterated anxiety. You want to know what it's like to be a nuclear scientist at NASA? Imagine being a plumber, but the water is 1,000,000,000 degrees, invisible, and if a single drop touches you, your DNA decides to quit its job and liquidate your internal organs. Welcome to the show. The routine doesn't start with a heroic walk down a launch pad. It starts with the beep. That's the sound of my personal decimeter. It's a little plastic rectangle clipped to my chest that tells me if I've reached my "I'm going to die" quota for the year. If it turns a certain color, I get a mandatory vacation and a lot of very awkward conversations with guys in suits who don't have a sense of humor. Every morning I walk through 3 layers of security at the Radioisotope Power Systems facility. It's a place where we handle Plutonium-238. Not the stuff you make bombs with, that's 239. Pu-238 is different. It's a heat source. It glows like a charcoal briquette from hell, and it stays hot for decades. We take that heat and turn it into electricity for things like the Mars Rovers or the Voyager probes. The routine is actually a polite word for obsessive-compulsive disorder sanctioned by the federal government. You don't just grab a sample, you spend 45 minutes putting on a suit that makes you look like a marshmallow version of a SWAT team member. You check the seals, then you check them again, then your partner checks them, then a guy whose only job is to be grumpy checks them. We live in the hot cells. These are rooms with concrete walls 5 feet thick. You operate robotic arms, Waldo units, to move the pellets. It feels like the world's most high-stakes claw machine game. If you drop the pellet, you don't just lose a stuffed animal, you trigger a code black that shuts down the entire campus and brings in the NRC faster than you can say meltdown. People think we're all genius-level Einsteins contemplating the mysteries of the cosmos. Reality, I spent 3 hours this morning arguing with an administrator about why we can't use a specific type of thermal paste because it hasn't been flight certified for a mission that isn't even launching until 2032. My back hurts from leaning over a console, my eyes are twitching from the blue light strain, and I'm pretty sure the microwave in the break room is more radioactive than the shielding I'm working on. The glamour of NASA is a lie sold to you by PR departments. The reality is paperwork, safety briefings that last longer than the actual work, and the constant underlying knowledge that you are handling the most dangerous substance known to man so a robot can take a high-res photo of a rock on a moon of Saturn. By 10 a.m., I've had 3 cups of coffee and 0 conversations that didn't involve the words neutron flux or thermal degradation. There's a specific smell to this job. It's not smoke, it's ionized air. It's the smell of physics happening right in front of you. You get used to it. You also get used to the fact that your friends outside of work stopped asking how was your day, because my answer usually is, I spent 8 hours making sure a box of glowing ceramics didn't leak. It's boring until it's terrifying, and if it's never terrifying, you're doing it right. But the stress, the kind of stress that settles into your marrow, never really leaves. It's the price of admission for powering the future. You don't just walk into NASA and say, "Hey, I'm good at math. Let me play with the glowing rocks." Getting here is a specialized form of psychological and academic torture. It starts with the PhD gauntlet. Most of us have spent 10 years in the dark corners of university libraries, breathing in the dust of old textbooks and crying over partial differential equations. You have to be a master of nuclear engineering, material science, and thermodynamics. But even after you get the degree, you're just a civilian with a fancy piece of paper. NASA doesn't trust you yet. Nobody trusts you yet. The recruitment process is like being interrogated by the FBI while taking a math test. They dig into everything. Your debt, your foreign friends, that one time you got a speeding ticket in 2014. It's all on the table. They're looking for radiological stability. They want to know if you're the kind of person who snaps under pressure. Because when a cooling loop fails and the alarms are screaming, they don't need a genius, they need a machine in a lab coat. I've seen guys with 160 IQs fail out because they couldn't handle the shadow phase. That's where you spend 2 years as an apprentice, basically a glorified observer who isn't allowed to touch anything more dangerous than a stapler. You watch the veterans. You learn the vibe. The vibe is the unspoken language of the facility, knowing when a pump sounds off or when the humidity in the cell is 2% too high. Then comes the disaster simulation training. They put you in a mock-up control room, deprive you of sleep for 20 hours, and then throw 5 simultaneous failures at you. The RTG is venting, the pressure seal is blown, your lead scientist has had a heart attack. Also, your coffee is cold. It's a stress test for the soul. They want to see you fail. They want to see you panic so they can kick you out before you do it for real. The failure rate for the Advanced Nuclear Handling certification is nearly 40%, and that's after you've already spent a decade becoming an expert. You also have to learn the nuclear bureaucracy. In the US, NASA actually doesn't own the plutonium. The Department of Energy, the DOE, owns it. We're just borrowing it. This means every time we move a pellet, it's a diplomatic incident between 2 massive federal agencies. You have to learn thousands of pages of federal regulations. If you misplace a single gram on a manifest, you're not just fired, you're looking at a federal investigation that will make your life a living hell. We joke that the N in NASA stands for never-ending paperwork. But the hardest part of the training isn't the math or the laws, it's the mental compartmentalization. You have to train your brain to forget that the thing behind the glass can kill you and everyone in the building. If you think about the danger too much, you get the shakes. If you don't think about it enough, you get complacent. Both will get you killed. You have to find that razor-thin line in the middle. You have to treat the radioactive isotope like a grumpy, sleeping god. Respect it, keep it comfortable, but never, ever think you're its friend. Most people quit during this phase. They realize they don't want to live their lives with a code black hanging over their heads like a guillotine. But for those of us who stay, we're the ones who get to put our fingerprints on the engines that will leave the solar system. We're the elite of the exhumed, the tired, and the radioactive. Everything we do, every boring meeting and every safety check leads to the final integration. This is the climax. This is when the mission, let's call it Project Icarus, is ready to receive its heart. We're at the Kennedy Space Center, but we're not in the sunny, touristy part. We're in a sterile, windowless bunker. The launch is in T-minus 48 hours. The multi-mission radioisotope thermoelectric generator, the MMRTG, is sitting in the center of the room. It's a black cylinder with fins, looking like something out of a 1950s sci-fi movie. Inside is the fuel, several kilograms of Pu-238. The room is tense. Everyone is sweating through their cleanroom suits. This isn't just a lab test. This is for real. If we mess this up, we're not just blowing a budget. We're potentially creating a radiological incident on the coast of Florida that will make the evening news for the next century. My job is to monitor the thermal flux. I'm watching the telemetry as we bridge the electrical connection. "Connection established," I say into the comms. My voice sounds hollow in the headset. Then it happens. The chirp. It's not a loud alarm. It's a soft, rhythmic sound from the area monitors. High gamma detection. The room goes ice cold. My heart is hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. "We have a spike on sensor 4, the safety officer says, his voice unnervingly calm. "Gamma levels rising. We have a suspected seal compromise." This is the moment, the code black in the heart of the Space Center. If the seal on the RTG is failing, the heat will build up, the shielding will degrade, and we'll have a dirty room in minutes. The automatic systems are supposed to handle it, but the software is hanging. The red light is starting to spin. That's the evacuate signal. "Abort integration?" the mission director asks. "If we abort now and pull the bridge, the thermal surge will pop the remaining seals. We have to finish the lock."
You have 3 minutes before the dose exceeds the safety limit, the safety officer warns. 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, I will have absorbed enough radiation to end my career and possibly my life. My hands are inside the Waldo units, the robotic arms inside the hot chamber. I can't feel the pellet, but I can see it through the monitors. It's glowing. It's angry. I have to seat the containment cap and torque it to exactly 45 foot-pounds. Too loose and I leak the threads. Too tight and I strip the threads of a one-of-a-kind titanium housing. My vision is blurring from the sweat. My partner is screaming something about the cooling fans. I ignore him. I focus on the torque readout. 30, 35, 40. The chirp is now a scream. The dosimeter on my wrist is vibrating. It's reached the yellow zone. 45, I grunt, slamming the lock. Cap seated, engaging secondary cooling. I wait, the longest 10 seconds of my life. The scream of the monitors drops back to a chirp, then a hum, then silence. Gamma levels normalizing, the safety officer says. He sounds like he just finished a marathon. Area is clear, dose within acceptable risk parameters. Acceptable risk. That's a funny way of saying you didn't die today, but you're going to have a hell of a headache tomorrow. I pull my hands out of the controls. They're shaking so hard I have to shove them into my pockets. I look at the MMRTG. It's sitting there, silent and deadly, ready to go to the stars. The launch happens 2 days later. I watch it from the control room, a cold cup of coffee in my hand. As the rocket clears the tower, carrying my engine into the black, I don't feel like a hero. I feel like exhausted. I feel like I need to sleep for a month. But then I see the data telemetry. The power is steady. The heart is beating. The probe is alive. That's the gig. You trade your sleep, your nerves, and a little bit of your lifespan for a machine that will live forever in the void. You endure the boredom of the routine and the terror of the climax because you're one of the few people who knows how to talk to the fire. And as I walk out to my car at 4 a.m., the sun just starting to peek over the Atlantic, I hear it, the beep of my dosimeter. It's still green for now. Surviving the graveyard shift, it's not about the medals. It's about making sure the lights stay on in the darkest corners of the universe, even if it means you have to walk through hell to do it. Just don't forget the coffee. You're gonna need it.